What if the ultimate key to moving your life forward is not to push harder, but to stand perfectly still, not in passive surrender, but in active, absolute command? It's a paradox that defies the relentless logic of our modern world, which screams for more effort, more hustle, more force. But the ancient Stoics knew a different kind of power, a power forged in the quiet crucible of the mind. By the end of our time together, you will understand the profound difference between the stillness of the strategist and the stillness of the victim, and you will hold the tools to cultivate the former, a stillness that is not an absence of action, but the very source of its power. Before we descend into the forge of this philosophy, a necessary word of caution. What follows is an exploration of principles for self-reflection and resilience, drawn from ancient wisdom. It is not, and should not be taken as, medical, financial, or legal advice. The path of philosophy is one of self-examination, a journey you undertake with your own judgment as your guide. For the specific challenges of your life, always consult qualified professionals. Our work here is to sharpen the tools of the mind, not to replace the expertise of the physician or the counselor. We live in an age of noise, an age of desperate motion. The gospel of our time is one of relentless striving. We are told to manifest our destiny, to visualize success, to take massive, unrelenting action. We fill our calendars, optimize our mornings, and flood our minds with affirmations, treating life as a fortress to be sieged. Yet, for so many, this frantic assault yields only exhaustion. We push against a door that seems immovably locked, and with every ounce of effort, the resistance only grows stronger. We find ourselves adrift, our sails torn, battered by the very winds we sought to command. We beg the universe for a sign, for clarity, for a moment of peace, but receive only the echo of our own frantic striving. This is the state of a mind at war with itself, a mind that has mistaken the true location of its power. The modern self-help narrative often suggests that this feeling of being stuck is a sign of energetic misalignment, a failure of vibration, or a cosmic rejection. It whispers a seductive yet dangerous idea: simply stop, do nothing, and allow the universe to realign reality for you. This is a profound misreading of the nature of existence, a confusion of quietude with passivity. The ancient Stoics would offer a sterner, more empowering diagnosis. The resistance you feel is not the universe pushing back. It is the friction generated by your own unexamined judgments grinding against the unyielding nature of reality. What you resist is not some external force, but the truth of what is. What you attempt to force is not your destiny, but your preference. And when you exhaust your energy trying to bend the unbendable, you do not simply fail, you fracture. The world does not respond to what you say you want, nor to the intensity of your need. The world simply is. It operates on the principle of cause and effect, an unbreakable chain of events the Stoics called fate or logos. It is a river, and you can either learn to navigate its currents or be broken against its rocks. The frustration, the feeling of being stuck, is the experience of trying to command the river to change its course. It is a fool's errand. The real work, the only work that matters, begins not with more external effort, but with a radical shift inward. It begins with a stillness that is not empty, but profoundly alert. This is not a call to do nothing. It is a call to do the right times thing, in the right way, from the right place. And that place is the inner citadel of your own mind, the faculty of reasoned choice the Greeks called times proheresis asterisk. This is the only domain where you have absolute sovereignty. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered teachers of his time, built his entire philosophy on a single, luminous distinction: the difference between what is up to us and what is not up to us. Up to us are our judgments, our intentions, our desires, our aversions. the inner world of our own mind. Not up to us is everything else. Our body, our reputation, our wealth, the actions of others, the turning of the world. Health can be lost, reputation slandered, wealth stolen. These are externals, things merely preferred, but ultimately indifferent to our moral worth and tranquility. Your capacity to choose your response, however, that is your own. It cannot be taken, only abdicated. The modern call to do nothing can easily become a form of abdication. It can be a comfortable excuse for inaction, a spiritual bypass for the hard work of self-examination. The Stoic, by contrast, understands that true stillness is a form of intense action. It is the act of stepping back from the chaos of raw impression to consciously choose a response. When you are insulted, the raw event is merely sound waves entering your ear. The feeling of being insulted is a judgment you add. When you are delayed, the event is simply a variance in a schedule. The feeling of frustration is a judgment you superimpose upon it. The stillness we are cultivating is the space between the event and the judgment. In that space lies your freedom. It is in this sacred pause that you cease to be a puppet of external events and become the master of your own soul. Consider the story of a man we will call Alex, the founder of a technology company that soared with meteoric speed. Alex was the archetype of the modern hustler. He worked 18-hour days, optimized every minute, and believed that his will alone was the engine of his success. He saw sleep as a necessary evil and relationships as transactions. His mantra was massive action, and for a time, it worked. His company grew, his wealth exploded, and his face graced the covers of magazines. He was the master of his universe, but his inner citadel was a ruin. He had no governance over his own mind. A critical comment from an investor would send him into a rage. A dip in the stock market would trigger days of sleepless anxiety. He was powerful in the world, but a slave to every passing headline, every market fluctuation, every perceived slight. He had confused controlling his company with controlling reality. Then, a global recession hit, an event utterly outside his control. The market for his product vanished overnight. His investors, once allies, became adversaries. His team, exhausted and burnt out by his relentless drive, began to fracture. Alex did what he always did. He pushed harder. He doubled his hours, took on more debt, and drove his remaining employees to the brink. He was trying to force the river to flow uphill. He resisted the reality of the market shift, pouring all his energy into fixing what was external and broken, while ignoring the internal chaos that was truly sinking his ship. In the end, the company collapsed, his wealth evaporated, and his health failed. Alex's downfall was not the recession. The recession was merely an event. His downfall was his failure to distinguish what he could control from what he could not. He had built a glass empire on the foundation of an ungoverned mind. His frantic action was a symptom of his inner powerlessness. He stood still only when he was broken, a victim of circumstances he never learned how to properly face. Now, let us contrast this with a different kind of stillness. Imagine a ship captain in a hurricane. The storm is not his fault. He cannot command the winds to cease or the waves to calm. A foolish captain would curse the sky, shake his fist at the ocean, and exhaust his crew trying to sail directly against the gale. He resists reality, and reality will crush him. A wise captain, a Stoic captain, does something else. He accepts the storm. He does not approve of it, but he acknowledges it for what it is, a powerful external he cannot change. His focus narrows with incredible intensity to the only things he times can times control: the rudder, the sails, the actions of his crew, and his own calm, clear mind. He may order the sails reefed, the hatches battened down, the ship turned to face the waves at a certain angle. These are deliberate, precise actions born not of panic, but of a profound inner stillness. He has surrendered the desire for a calm sea. and in doing so, has gained the power to navigate the sea that is. This is the stillness of the strategist. It is not inaction, it is the source of all effective action. When you feel stuck, when your efforts feel fruitless, the Stoic prescription is not to simply stop trying in the hope that a benevolent universe will solve your problems. The prescription is to stop the times, misdirected times effort, to retreat from the external battle for a moment and turn your full attention to the inner realm. To ask the questions that truly matter. What part of this situation is actually up to me? What part is not? What unexamined judgment is causing my suffering? Am I reacting to the event itself, or to the story I am telling myself about the event? This is a deeper, quieter kind of work. It does not come through frenzy, but through integration. It begins with the courage to look in the mirror, not the metaphorical mirror of the universe, but the literal mirror of your own mind. It requires the brutal honesty to see your own judgments, biases, and fears for what they are: choices. You say, "I want love," but your unexamined belief is, "I am not worthy of being loved without achieving X, Y, and Z." You say, "I want peace," but you continuously assent to the judgment that your peace depends on the approval of others. Until you make these internal assents conscious, they will rule your life from the shadows, and you will call it fate. You are not being punished. You are experiencing the logical consequences of your own inner constitution. Let us consider another story, that of a woman we will name Maria. Maria was a painter of immense talent, but her life was one of quiet desperation. For years, she had been waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning, waiting for a gallery owner to discover her, waiting for the right time to finally show her work. She had absorbed the romantic notion that great art emerges from a passive state of receptivity. She mistook procrastination for patience. She was doing nothing, but it was the stillness of a stagnant pond, not the focused calm of a strategist. She told herself she was surrendering to the creative process, but in truth, she was abdicating her own agency, terrified of the judgment that might follow the act of creation. Her life was a long, slow delay. She saw her peers, some with less talent, build careers and find their audience. She grew resentful, not of them, but of a world she judged as unfair, a universe that had failed to recognize her. The years turned into a decade. The void she inhabited was not a creative one. It was a vacuum of her own making, filled with the ghosts of paintings she never dared to start. Her awakening was not a gentle spiritual unfolding. It was a harsh, painful realization that dawned on her after her father's sudden death. Faced with the stark finality of life, the fragility of time, she saw her waiting for what it was, a form of fear. She understood that the universe was not withholding anything from her. Her own judgments were the gatekeepers. Her belief that she needed external validation times before times she could act was the chain. The lesson was brutal but liberating. The inspiration was not an external gift to be received, it was an internal fire to be tended. The act of creation was up to her. The quality of her effort was up to her. The courage to finish a canvas was up to her. The reception of her work, the sales, the reviews, the recognition was entirely not up to her. That day, she stopped waiting. She began to work. Not in a frenzy, but with a quiet, disciplined consistency. She painted for the sake of the work itself, finding the reward in the act, not the outcome. She practiced her art as a Stoic practices virtue. She controlled what she could, the brush, the paint, the hours, and she learned to accept what she could not, the opinions of the art world. Her doing nothing had been the stillness of a victim. Her new doing something was born from the stillness of a strategist who had finally understood the boundaries of her own power. It took her years, but she eventually built a life around her art, not because the universe finally answered, but because she finally stopped asking it the wrong questions. This brings us to the sacred space that many flee, the quiet. When you finally stop the frantic pushing, when you cease demanding that reality conform to your will, an unsettling silence often descends. There are no lightning bolts, no cosmic signs. There is just the space you have created. Modern spirituality might call this the creative void. The Stoic would call it the training ground. This is not a womb where a new self is mysteriously born. It is the workshop where the existing self is deliberately reforged. It is the moment where your ego, the part of you that identifies with externals, loses its grip, and your ruling faculty, your times proheresis asterisk, can finally take command. Most people cannot tolerate this silence. They mistake stillness for stagnation, quiet for absence. They rush to fill the void with new distractions, new goals, new anxieties, anything to avoid the discomfort of sitting with themselves. But this silence is your signal. It is the moment of truth. In this space, the real work is done. Your nervous system is not calibrating for what you once begged for. Your mind is learning to distinguish signal from noise. Your soul is not being rewired by a mystical force. You are consciously choosing to sever your assent to harmful judgments and to cultivate assent to judgments aligned with nature and with virtue. This is not a passive process. It is the work of a philosopher. It requires patient self-interrogation. It is sitting with an emotion, like anxiety, and reverse engineering it. What is this feeling? It is a physiological response. To what? To a thought. What is the thought? If I fail this presentation, I will be humiliated. What is that thought? It is a judgment. Is it true? The presentation is an event in the future. I cannot control its outcome perfectly. I can control my preparation. Humiliation is the judgment of others. I cannot control their judgments. I can control my own self-worth. By what standard do I measure my worth? By the quality of my character and my actions, or by the fleeting approval of others? You stay in this void, this quiet space of reflection, and you do this work. You dissect your fears, you challenge your assumptions. You let the void do its quiet work, not by surrendering times to times it, but by working times within times it. As you practice this discipline, something profound begins to emerge. It is not a remembering of a lost, perfect self. The Stoics did not believe in a pre-existing, authentic self, buried beneath layers of trauma. They believed in a rational faculty that is either well-trained or poorly trained. The journey is not one of excavation, but of construction. You are not remembering who you were. You are deliberately building who you wish to be, choice by choice, judgment by judgment. Your authentic self is not a destination to be found. It is a fortress to be built. The healing, the love, the abundance you seek are not frequencies you carry, waiting to be reawakened. Tranquility, or times apatheia asterisk, is a state of mind achieved through rigorous training, a state free from the disturbance of irrational passions. Love, or connection with others, is a product of virtuous action, of justice, fairness, and kindness. Abundance, or rather, sufficiency, is not about acquiring more, but about desiring less and being grateful for what you have. These are not prizes you earn by stopping. They are the natural results of a mind that has been brought into harmony with reason and with nature. So stop running. Stop trying to prove your worth through external achievements. Stop trying to manifest from a place of perceived lack. Instead, be still. But be still like a sentry at the gates of your mind. Become aware of the impressions that seek entry. Challenge them. Are you what you appear to be? Ask this of every fear, every desire, every distraction. Watch what happens not when you allow life to catch up with you, but when you finally catch up with yourself. When you finally take full ownership of your inner world, understanding that it is the sole source of your experience. This is not about giving up on your goals. It's about giving up your unhealthy attachment to the outcomes. It's about giving in to your own power, your own agency, the truth that your reasoned choice is the most potent force in your life. When you do nothing externally, but everything internally, when you examine, question, and choose with full awareness, the external world does not magically fall into place. Rather, your relationship times to the external world falls into place. The things that once caused you turmoil become indifferent. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities to practice virtue, patience, courage, resilience, justice. This is the story of Samuel, a soldier who returned from combat with a life-altering injury. His career was over. The physical life he had known was gone. For the first year, he was consumed by a black tide of bitterness. He was a prisoner of his past and a victim of his fate. His mind was a storm of resentful judgments. My life is over. I am worthless. The world is unjust. He pushed away his family and friends, resisting their help because it was a reminder of his dependency. He was doing nothing, but it was the paralytic stillness of despair. His transformation began with a book of Stoic philosophy, a gift from a fellow veteran. He encountered the words of Epictetus, who taught that even in chains, a person's mind can be free. The idea was like a crack of light in a dark room. He began, slowly and painstakingly, to apply the dichotomy of control. What was not up to him, the injury, the past, the physical limitations, the opinions of others. He could spend the rest of his life raging against these things, and it would change nothing except to poison his own soul. What times was times up to him, his thoughts about his injury, his attitude in this present moment, the way he treated his family, his choice to find a new purpose. He started a journal, not to vent his pain, but to diagnose his judgments. When a wave of self-pity washed over him, he would write it down and dissect it. Judgment. I can no longer be a leader. Is this true? I cannot lead a platoon. That is an external. Can I lead in other ways? Can I mentor other wounded veterans? Can I be a leader within my own family? The role has changed, but the capacity for virtue remains. He was not remembering a worthy self. He was times forging times one in the fires of his adversity. He was building his inner fortress, brick by painful brick. His stillness transformed from the paralysis of a victim to the focused discipline of a strategist. He eventually started a support network for other veterans, using his experience not as a source of bitterness, but as a foundation for service. His reality did not change, his body did not heal, but his life was transformed because he had reclaimed the one thing that fate could never take from him, the power to choose his response. This is the real shift. It is not when life gives you something new, but when you finally see yourself clearly enough to wisely manage what you already have. You realize that nothing outside of you ever had the final word. Not your past, not your fears, not the delay, not the injury, not the recession. What shapes your reality is the quality of the judgments you assent to, moment by moment. That truth does not arrive with a flash of insight or a cosmic gift. It is built through daily practice. It awakens not through passive stillness, but through the active stillness of self-governance. When the mind grows quiet, not because it is empty, but because it is ordered, the heart, or rather, your ruling faculty, becomes clear, and its conclusion is simple. You already are what you have been seeking. Not a being of perfect love and light, but a being endowed with the capacity for reason, virtue, and invincible resilience. You are not here to strive your way into worthiness. You are here to exercise the worthiness inherent in your capacity to choose well, right here, right now. If this philosophy resonates with you, do not simply move on. Let it be the start of your own practice. Take one recurring frustration in your life, and for a day, practice the pause. When the frustration arises, do not act, do not speak. Simply observe the event, and then observe the story you immediately tell yourself about it. Separate the two. In that separation, you will find a measure of peace, you will find your power. Repeat this to yourself. The event is one thing, my judgment of it is another. This is not a magic incantation. It is a tool of cognitive hygiene. This path is not a collection of content to be consumed. It is a mirror for the mind, a whetstone for the character, a memory of the power that resides within your own reasoned choice, waiting to be claimed. Stay present, stay whole, by focusing on what is truly yours. And remember, sometimes the most powerful step of all is to stand still, not in surrender, but in command, and deliberately choose the thoughts you will permit to rule your mind. Having laid the foundation of our inner fortress, the next step is to train the garrison that defends it. We must learn to look at time itself not as a thief that steals our days, but as a raw material from which we build our lives. Every moment presents a choice, an opportunity to act with virtue or with vice. The discipline of managing this resource, of treating our time with the respect it deserves, is a cornerstone of a well-lived life. It is a subject for which the Stoic philosopher Seneca provided the ultimate blueprint, a way to live fully even if one's days are few, and that is a conversation for another time.